Welcome back. We are speaking with Dr. Kelly Gebhardt with Happy Tales today. She's taking your questions about your pets. Just text in your questions to the number you see there on the bottom right side of your screen. Let's first talk about these first aid kits and what specifically should be in them.
Right. So thinking about first aid kits, the goal for a first aid kit is to treat minor injuries and to protect wounds or injuries until you can seek veterinary care. And in true emergencies, of course, you want to seek veterinary care immediately. When you're thinking about emergency kits, you want to think about covering wounds and keeping them clean. So bandage material, you want a pair of bandage scissors, and bandage scissors are very specific because they have little rounded blunt edges on them. So when you cut the bandage off or cut other things, you're not going to be poking them with sharp scissors. You want some 4x4 gauzes, also some bandage material or gauze to wrap around the area. There's something called vet wrap or Coban. It's called Coban in human medicine, but it's a stretchy bandage material that can help secure bandages in place. You also want to think about in the kit having a Telfa pad. Those are non-stick little sterile pads that you can put on top of wounds so that it'll keep the wound clean, but when you take the bandage off, it won't hurt and it won't pull on those tissues. And the goal here when thinking about this is we see wounds all the time, dogs having lacerations on their arms or around their chest. Covering it with a Telfa pad, maybe even putting a pile of 4x4 gauze on there to create a little bit of pressure, wrapping it with the gauze, and then the vet band or the Coban, the vet wrap or the Coban. That will create keeping the wound clean, apply some pressure to help stop bleeding. And those are two of the best things you can do while your dog is in transport or cat is on transport to a veterinarian. Some things you may want to consider in learning how to use is actual proper tourniquet to use for extremity injuries. It is not uncommon to see wounds that have had massive trauma and trauma to the vessels, arteries, or veins, and owners will create little homemade tourniquets that have helped, but a full-on tourniquet applied 2 to 3 inches above the injury would actually be much more effective, and learning how to apply them properly is important. So a tourniquet in the first aid kit is actually really important.
I think a lot of people are just very surprised at the number of things that you should consider.
Absolutely. And something people would about is saran wrap, because we see wounds that actually are sucking air into the chest. And one of the best things you can do is put a Telfa pad on there and some 4x4 gauze, saran wrap around that. Even if your dog has bleeding wounds to the abdomen, do the same thing. So we're keeping things clean and keeping air from getting to the chest and parts from coming outside of the abdomen. So those saran wrap is actually something that can be very helpful. It's something in all the households, so that's a good thing to include as well. Something other people don't think about is a dog leash, because not only will it help keep your dog safe and with you, but if your dog's in a lot of pain and you have to create an artificial muzzle, you can actually gently wrap the leash around their muzzle, and while you're getting them medical help, it will help you prevent you from getting bitten. So a dog leash can be used for safety and keeping them with you, but also preventing them from biting you as well. Latex gloves are important for you to wear in case there are, keeping your hands clean, keeping your dirt from getting into the wounds, and keeping whatever blood or products that are on the dog from getting onto your hands. And a flashlight or headlamp in there is important too. So if you're like late at night at a dog park and your dog gets into it with another dog, you'll have a light source to provide you with light to apply that bandage until you can get to a veterinarian. People ask about eye wash or other things. Having some sterile eye wash or just eye wash from the pharmacy is totally great, because if the dog will let you just lavage dirt or other material out of eyes. People ask about triple antibiotic ointment. I don't recommend triple antibiotic ointment in first aid kits, because if you have a cat, one of the products in the triple antibiotic ointment can actually cause an anaphylactic reaction in cats. So getting packets of sterile lubricant is actually better, because you could apply the lubricant to the wound, then the Telfa pad, then the bandage, and then get to a vet. So sterile lubricant is much better than triple antibiotic in these situations. Other things to consider are little cotton swabs, because you could get little pieces of dirt out of the eye if they'll let you, out of the ear. Tongue depressors are great, because if your pet is stung by something, you want to actually use the tongue depressor to scrape the stinger out. You don't want to squeeze it, because it'll squeeze all that venom in there into the wound. So you want to scrape it with a tongue depressor. Tweezers are great because they can remove thorns and pokey, pointy things. Thermometer is good, and knowing how to use it and knowing your normals for temperature for cats and dogs are important, because if you say your dog is possibly at heat stroke, you know its body temperature, you can take its temperature. Collapsible water bowl is important, and plastic bags to clean up poop and vomit and other things.
So much to consider. Well, we've got 2 segments down, 1 more to go with Dr. Kelly Gebhardt. We're going to be taking your questions when we come back, including the question a lot of people wonder, what shouldn't I be allowing my dog or cat to eat? We'll be right back.